guys, happy Tuesday. So today we're going to be looking at error analysis problems on Desmos, and I just wanted to jump on here and do the first two problems with you and also show you what you can do on Desmos. So looking at this first screen, you're actually able to draw on here, and you can erase things as well. So you messed up on something or it looks too ugly and I won't be able to read it. And you can change the colors up here as well. Okay, so on this first one, it's just telling you to label the parts of the right triangle, so like the right angle, the legs, and the hypotenuse. All right, let's go ahead and move on. So let's look at the directions. It says, look at how they solved the problem. The problem was solved incorrectly. Explain what error the student made. How should they have solved it instead? So our first step is just to look at the problem, see if we can find that error. So solve for x, round to the nearest hundreds if necessary. So they were supposed to round to the hundreds if necessary. So let's look at the student's work. And it kind of might be hard to tell just from looking at the work if they did something wrong. So sometimes what I find is easier is if you try solving it first. So let's go ahead and label our parts of a right triangle. This is my right angle. I know from across from my right angle is my hypotenuse, and that means that my other sides are my legs. So I know my bad. I know that my formula is leg square plus leg square equals hypotenuse square. So let's check that they substituted correctly. So for hypotenuse, there should have been 10. So 10 squared. See how easily it is to mess up on writing on this? Sorry guys if it's hard for you. Okay, so then my legs are 7 and x. So I'm gonna have 7 squared plus x squared. And notice how they already did the first step incorrectly. So in here, I'm going to type they substituted incorrectly. They substituted 10 for the leg instead of the hypotenuse. So that answers part 2, but part 3 says how should they have solved it instead? Well, let's say I want to insert an equation. So I'm going to go ahead and click this button right here that has like the square root symbol, and that allows me to write an equation. So I'm going to write they should have solved it like this. So I'm going to write out all the steps. 7 squared plus x, let me get my x, squared equals 10 squared, oopsies, 10 squared. And then I'm going to insert another equation to show my steps. So 7 times 7 is 49 plus x squared equals 100. And from here, I need to do what? Well, I need to subtract 49 from both sides in order to get x squared by itself. So x to the power of 2 equals 100 minus 49. That's going to give me 51. And then I'm going to take the square root of both sides. You can show this step if you want to. So square root of x squared equals, don't want that under the radical sign. So what you're going to have to do here is you're going to have to press your forward arrow. So this one right there equals square root of 51. And I can't do that in my head, so I'm going to go ahead and grab my calculator. Square root of 51 is 7.14. So I get x equals 7.14. And then that's how I show how they should have solved it correctly. Okay, and then I'm gonna press submit. And let's say I found an error here in my work. I can always click edit my response and help me change it. Okay, let's look at the next problem. So same directions, so you don't have to reread them. And this time it's a different error. Remember, it always helps to find the error if you try solving it out first yourself. And if you feel that you do not have enough space here in this area to solve the problem, you are more than welcome to do the work on a separate sheet of paper. Don't feel that you need to show me your work here. You can always do it on a separate sheet of paper because I'll know that you did it when you explain it here, okay? So, once again, I'm just going to shorten my formula to leg squared plus leg squared equals hypotenuse squared, because you guys know what I mean by now, right? I'm going to label my parts of the triangle. That's my right angle. Across from my right angle is my hypotenuse. That means that the other sides are my legs. So if I were to substitute, okay, going to grab another color here. So 6 squared plus 8 squared equals, they put C as a hypotenuse, so I'm going to put C as well. And it looks like our first step is correct. Let's go ahead and do our second step. 6 times 6, that is 36. 8 times 8, that's 64, equals C squared. So I'm looking at my second step, and that's already incorrect. So that means that my other steps are also going to be incorrect. 36 plus 64 is 100, equals C squared. I'm going to take the square root of both sides, and I'm going to get that C equals 10. Okay, so here, what was their mistake? How do you think they got this 12? Well, they probably thought that this exponent of 2, they needed to multiply 6 times 2. But we know that is not true. When there's an exponent of 2, that means 6 times 6, right? The number times itself. Okay, so here we're going to write when there is an exponent, it means to multiply the base by itself. Well, I'm going to be more specific. When there is an exponent of 2, it means to multiply the base by itself. So the second line should have been 36 plus 64 equals C squared. And then our next line should have been 100 equals C squared. I'm going to show that extra step. I'm going to take it that extra way. 100. Remember, our forward arrow equals C squared. Oh, forgetting my square root. Oh no. So in here, I'm going to write C squared. And that square root of 100 is 10. So 10 equals C. And that's my answer. So they did mess up. The answer was not 14, right? But that's not the error. The error was that they thought the exponent meant to multiply by 2, but it means to multiply by the base 2 times. Okay, so I did the first 2 problems with you. You guys are responsible for doing the other 5 problems that are on here. Remember, you can always show your work on a separate sheet of paper, and then just make sure you're able to type it here. If it's too hard for you, you can always send me a picture of your work instead. Okay? Alright guys, I hope this video helps and that you learned something new.